One Piece animation has usually followed the same pattern of being updated towards the end of an existing arc or simply at the start of a new one. And we have seen this with Punk Hazard to Dressrosa, from Dressrosa to Zou, from Zou to Whole Cake Island, and most recently from Whole Cake Island to Wano. This one being the biggest leap in One Piece animation since probably ever. And now, most likely, going from Wano into Egghead. Many think that One Piece animation is terrible, or was terrible in the Dressrosa days. I can agree, but believe it or not, there were incremental updates with each passing arc. When Punk Hazard transitioned to Dressrosa, the colors became much brighter and more vivid. Not exactly a big change, but a change nonetheless. When Dressrosa transitioned to Zou, again, the colors became more vivid, the character models were drawn way better, and this was especially notable towards the end of Zou when we got to see a little bit of a teaser for how Whole Cake animation would look starting in episode 767 and appearing again in episodes 773 and 774. When Zou went to Whole Cake Island, there were huge changes, biggest we'd ever seen in One Piece. Character models looked better than ever before, the art style was 10 times more vivid, they were using shade lines that Oda used in the manga, so it was very similar to the manga art style, and the colors became even brighter. Now when Whole Cake transitioned to Wano, this was multiplied by like 100. The color saturation and the thick line change is what really sets Wano animation apart from any One Piece animation coming before it. The character models looked absolutely incredible. However, this was at the beginning of Wano. What sucks is that the animation does not always stay consistent. It did in the case of Whole Cake Island, which to this day I stand by saying that the Whole Cake Island art had the best One Piece animation and art style to date. Now in the case of Wano, the animation and art style has drastically decreased in quality over time. Now while the thick lines and that saturated color palette that the animation team had started for Wano remains the same to this day, the art style has gradually decreased in quality. A perfect example of this would be Zoro's character model. Now here we can clearly see the downgrade over time. I noted that this started around the time when Zoro received Enma, how his character model began looking more and more simplified. Look at Zoro at the start of Wano. The man was a god. Now look at current Wano Zoro. I mean, just look at that. I mean, that's not to say I don't like Wano animation. As I said, when it started, I thought it was the best in the series, even better than Whole Cake. But over time, the art style and artwork became less and less fine. I mean, hopefully this won't be the case in Egghead. Now, the reason I say the Whole Cake arc had the best animation and art style is due to how closely it resembled Oda's actual artwork, down to the shade lines used on almost all the characters throughout the arc, something that all but disappeared in Wano. I really wish they kept those shade lines. I mean, the characters looked so good with them. It was like they leapt right off the manga panels. I mean, they were on Katakuri's eyes, they were on like basically everybody's necks. I don't know, I thought it just looked so cool. I know some people didn't like it, but I just absolutely loved it. Now, in terms of how the animation just really stepped it up in Whole Cake, let's just take a look right here. Sanji went from looking like this to this. And Luffy went from looking like this to this. I mean, you can clearly see the changes and how detailed and exceptional these character models look. The extra layers of shading on the eyes, the manga-esque shade lines, and the beautiful colors really make these characters pop. The Whole Cake arc art style was about as good as it gets, and I really wish they kept it in Wano. Sanji now looks way too simplified. I mean, look at his design now compared to his design in Whole Cake. Even Nami. Now this would go mainly unnoticed to most people, but she has been simplified as well. One example of this is the reflective light patterns on her hair. They were vibrant and thick in the Whole Cake style, but now they're just these like little thin lines in the Wano style. I know it might sound like a nitpick, but it doesn't look as good, you know? And these little things, they add up. Now, in my opinion, Wano was absolute peak when it started, but it has gone downhill since around the time Zoro got Enma. And even the fight choreography has gone downhill, relying more on auras and ridiculous animation instead of just good, clean, simple, well choreographed fights. I mean, the aura and animation are so intense and distracting you can barely make out what's happening. And you're basically unable to appreciate the actual fight choreography, as there basically is none at this point. For example, take this fight from Dressrosa between Law and Doflamingo. Now I know everybody hates Dressrosa animation, but in my opinion, this fight, this simple, poorly animated fight, is better than 90% of fights in Wano. Now the way Doflamingo flips around, kicks Law with his foot, the way Doflamingo's strings just slice the entire metal bridges in the columns as if they were butter. I mean, don't get me started on this part of the scene. I'll play it, just let you guys watch. I mean, the angles, the camera work, you can just feel it in your bones. You don't have anything like that in modern Wano, you really don't. Now, I know the actual character models are kind of trash. I mean, I know, can't really argue with that. But the character movements, the positioning, and the cinematography and the angle choices, I mean, it's just all top notch, especially for this scene. If this scene were to be animated in Wano fashion today, all you would have are auras and bright flashy lights and colors taking up 95% of the screen. I see people saying that the Zoro versus King fight is the greatest animated fight in One Piece. I see people saying it's the greatest animated fight in all of anime. Hell, I see people saying it's the greatest animated fight in all of animation. And to that I say the animation is really good. It truly is. It's actually pretty incredible. But the fight, as an actual fight, you know, one with choreography and actual combat, it's kind of trash. It is kind of trash. All the Zoro versus King fight is, in episode 1062, is just flashy colors and aura. That's it. There's basically no choreography or action sequences. It's all colors and King and Zoro floating around on fire. As a fight, it just isn't good at all. Now, this didn't used to be the case in Wano, as at the start of the arc, up until Luffy escaped the prison, things were phenomenal. I mean, Luffy fighting on the beach, Zoro fighting those samurai, it's all top-notch. It truly is. I love the art style, the animation, the fights, the choreography. It's all so good. But it all went downhill since they decided to focus more on auras and the occasional insane animation segment more than just good, clean choreography. I think I'll even make a separate video on how the auras have ruined One Piece, as there really is, unfortunately, a lot to cover. But anyway, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my takes. Definitely excited for the new animation we're going to be seeing for Egghead. Let me know in the comments if you guys think we even will have new animation, or if you think they'll just keep the Wano style going forward. I mean, personally, I do hope they change it. It's kind of time for something fresh, in my opinion. But anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace.